what was your guys' circumference from the gold lid?
20 inches. Inches.
Yeah, you guys are supposed to be centimeters.
It's okay. We'll still get the decimal. Okay, what'd you guys get for diameter?
3.5 inches.
So what'd you get for your circumference divided by diameter?
3.1 inches.
Perfect. What'd you get for the popcorn lid?
24.
30. You can bring it.
3.3.
Alright, next group. Whoever wants to read them off.
The cup and the water bottle. Top of the cup and water bottle.
What'd you guys get for your circumference of your cup?
29 centimeters. Sometimes wrong.
How about your diameter?
And then an accent.
So what was your circumference divided by diameter?
3.5. What?
How about for the water bottle?
Water bottle.
Centimeters.
Whoever wants to read them, you guys can
Can you read the
You.
Yep.
We did a blue cap and a Lysol lid. Tell her that it's
I don't know if that's how you spell Lysol.
16.5 centimeters. 5.3 centimeters. 3.11.
Okay.
25.7 centimeters.
I really don't care. And
7.9 centimeters. And 3.25 centimeters.
for our gold lid thing, it's actually the shoe. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay.
Well, I have your shoes off.
Okay, so what do you guys notice about what our circumference divided by diameter is?
3.
It's roughly about 3.1 something. That is actually what pi is. That's how you figure out what pi is. It's the number of circumferences needed to, or number of diameters needed to create your circumference. So if you had like 6.5, it took 3.1 times for it to get how long your circumference is. So that's how you find pi. So the equation that we just did was that our circumference divided by diameter equals pi, right? So how would we rearrange this to solve for circumference? If we wanted it to say circumference equals something, what would we have to do? Yep, you have to multiply both sides by diameter. So you multiply this side by diameter, and you multiply this side by diameter. And if you do that, these cancel each other out, and then you get circumference equals pi times your diameter. And that's the equation that you guys see on your worksheets, because that's how you find the circumference. So if you know what the diameter is, you can plug that in and figure out what your circumference is, or if you know what your circumference is, you can divide both sides by pi and get the diameter. Pi, there's a whole bunch of things that can symbolize it, because it's just a symbol, and the number is 3.14, and it's a never-ending number, it's irrational, so it just keeps going. So you can either use 3.14, or you can use 22 divided by 7, or 3 and 1/7. Your book says that you're supposed to use 3 and 1.14, unless otherwise directed. And sometimes you'll just leave pi in, so if you know like the diameter is 7, then sometimes your answer will just be circumference equals 7 pi. And sometimes you'll actually plug in 3.14 and multiply that out at the answer. So now we're going to do some examples. Oh, here's the relationship. So it's the number of diameters needed to equal the circumference. That's what pi is. So here are some examples. Do you guys have a blank piece of paper?
Just use the back side.
Yeah, or just use the back. Yes. So, this, we know that our diameter is 30 inches. So what is our circumference? You guys want to put that on your sheets? So So for the first one, sorry, this is A, it doesn't have a dot. We're using the C equals pi times D. We're using 3.14 for pi. Do you guys all have calculators?
Mine's in my locker.
Do you guys have them in your locker? Do you want to get it real fast? You don't have a calculator?
I lost mine.
Okay, you can borrow one. It's you need a calculator too? Or... There you go. Yep, no problem.
Watch it. It's a movie.
Do you want to be?
Happy days. Yeah, until you start hearing
It wasn't facing me. I couldn't watch it.
That's creepy though. It sounds like a happy day and all of a sudden it's
I don't want to watch it because I'm curious.
I'm curious, but I'm supposed to be like, it was gory. Watches you all the last thing is all a happy day and then all of a sudden you hear like screaming. You didn't know that? It was creepy. Honestly, you didn't know that?
Okay, so what do we know? What can we fill in here? We're doing a problem. So we're trying to find our circumference. So what do we know about our diameter? Our D.
It's 30.
It's 30. So what do we have to do to figure out what our C is?
30 times 3.14.
Yep, you take 30 and then times pi, and in this case we're using 3.14. So what do you get when you multiply 30 by 3.14? 94.2. So our circumference for our first one is 94.2. What about for our second one? Do that on your sheets first, and then I'll call on somebody and have you explain how we got it.
Oh, what's the diameter?
14. Alright, now. Let's see.
Yeah, what's
So the radius is 10. Alright, so is everyone done with B? Can you guys explain how to do B? What do you have to do? So the 22 over 7. Yep, you just take 22 over 7 times 14 to 0. 22 times 7 is what's going in for pi. And then D is the 14. So what do you get when you multiply that out? 44. Yep, so our circumference for B is about 44 feet. So make sure you have your label on there too. So our first one was 94.2 inches, and this one is 44 feet. So for C, can we just plug 10 in right away? If 10 is our radius, can we just plug that into this equation? No, we can't. Why can't we do that?
because it's one of the radius, not the diameter.
So what do we have to do to that radius to figure out what the diameter is? Multiply by 2. Perfect. So then instead of plugging 10 in here, we actually plug in 20. So, and if we're just leaving pi as the symbol pi, what is our answer? Yep, and actually when they just want you to leave pi as pi, they just want you to leave this symbol pi. So you would just plug in 20 here. So you just get 20 pi, and then centimeters.
6.2.
So you just write down 20, when they say leave pi as pi, you just want to write it down as 20 pi, like they have here. You don't want to have, you don't plug anything in.
Was that in inches or?
It's in centimeters, sorry. And then, pi is actually, it's just a constant. It's not a variable because you can't plug in any number for pi. It's only the value that's associated with it, which is the 3.14 or the 22.7. or 22 over 7. So even though you're plugging in different numbers, it's not a variable, it's a constant because the number stays the same. Now I have some more practice problems that I want you guys to do individually, or you guys can work at your desks if you want to, in case you want to work together. Oops, that's not there. And these ones I'm going to collect because I need them for my class. So please put your name on there. What? Yep, those are your note sheets. So you guys can keep those. I don't want them back. Yeah, I worked today at 5:30 after daycare. I did. Took a nap with Selena. She took a nap, so I decided that was time for me.
My mom left at like 3:30.
No, they left at like 4 from the
She
day.
got up in row the next 4 days or in the sun or something. And I like put a big comment. I was like, thanks, don't even listen.
In the snow.
Stutter.
You guys have any questions? You guys can ask your table mates. You can
Do
still
the
know.
divide on the 25 to 12.
Yeah.
So use.
Yep.
Use wrong and singer, right? So
divide?
Yeah.
Here?
Yeah.
Nope, you don't divide. To figure it out, that's our diameter, right?
Yep.
So you take your diameter times pi. You get your circumference.
I got 131.88.
And don't forget your labels on them. So what was your label? For number 2, find it after, tell me how and then
You want these ones with us?
yes. Did you do number 2? Can you tell me how she found it? Instead of just writing it. Can you write it? Think it look good? Thank you so much. And then when you guys are done with this, you guys can start on your assignment out of your book, which you guys can choose. You can either do the evens or the odds. Can you tell me how you found the problem? Explain what you did to do it. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
See
You
what
don't have to save it. I have it on it. You don't have to save it.
question? Which one comes with question?
Yeah, I don't know.
I might do the events because usually 30.
Okay.
Is easy. Yeah.
Thank you.
So like 30.
Thank you.
What lesson?
So we can do
Lesson 65 in your book is on page 463.
Yeah, I have the one.
Yes, 463.
30. 30.
we can choose to do
Yep, you can either choose to do the even or the odd.
30 is easy though.
Is it?
I'll do it. You can I'm gonna look at all the events first.
Are you choking on it?
Yeah. What?
Lesson 65. 463.
It's in this group.
Here, you don't have to say that.